What's up, family? This is Kristen Smallwood, and you're listening to the Thrive with Joy podcast, a special space I've created for us to come and reason together. Each week, I share life lessons and stories that challenge our perspective on how we're managing the relationships with ourselves, God, and others. I'm even inviting some special guests to help us unpack insights on how to experience lasting, harmonious bonds that abound in grace, forgiveness, and love. Let's get into it. What's up, family? Thank you for meeting me back in the room for another episode. Listen, let me tell you about this crazy exchange I witnessed one day that just blew my mind. So, I was attending this meeting one evening, and one of the attendees walks in with her child. She's a single mother, so it's nothing strange about the fact that she brought her child with her to this meeting. Now, this woman walks in fully prepared to make sure her child is not a distraction in this meeting, because the child comes in with a backpack that has an iPad, headphones, a couple toys, some snacks. She even sets the child up on a seat in the corner so they can spread their stuff out and intentionally be out of the way. It's clear that this child and their parent have a routine. And an understanding that the parent is coming to participate in this meeting and the child's only responsibility is to not interrupt the parent's ability to do just that, right? I feel like there was a conversation that was had before they left the house where the mother gave this child very specific instructions on what they were supposed to do when they got to this meeting because they came in ready. Okay, so we're in the meeting and we get to a point where we're trying to wrap up for the evening. It's getting late. It's a weekday. We've accomplished a lot, but it's apparent that people are reaching their capacity level for the day. Some people came straight from their jobs to attend this meeting, so we were ready to go home. Somewhere in the midst of those closing moments, another attendee, for the sake of this story, I'm going to call them so-and-so. So-and-so, who was clearly done and had already adjourned the meeting in their mind, decided it would be a good time to pick the single mother's child up and proceed to try and rock the baby to sleep. Now, let me be clear. So-and-so is not a stranger to this child. They are familiar with each other. So it's not like some random person picked up the baby. There is some level of relationship there, right? It's important that I make that note. But here's the thing. From what I could observe, the child was not crying. They had not communicated any desire to go to sleep. And if they did have the desire to take a nap, the mother had already created a space for them to do that. They could have just fallen asleep in the spot that she had already set up with the toys and the iPad and the snacks, right? But so-and-so clearly had some type of discerning eye that revealed to them that this baby needed to be resting, okay? So they picked the baby up, laid the baby on their chest, and said, "Let's go night-night." Listen, they were rocking that baby so good, I almost went to sleep. Huh? I wanted to say, rock me next. I wasn't sure if there was a line that we could stand in to let them know that we wanted to be next. But if this is what we doing in the meeting, sign me up because I want to go to sleep good tonight too. It was like one of those good old grandma rocks. You ever had that moment when you were a child, when your mom or your grandmother would lay you on their chest and you would drape one arm around their neck and then the other arm around their shoulder, and then your face would be nestled in the nape of their neck, and then they would lean over and put their cheek against your cheek, and there would be just enough space between your face and theirs for you to breathe and let that air out of your nose and hit their neck. Then they would tighten their arms around you and give you that love squeeze that said, "I got you." Oh man, listen, I call that the safety zone, okay? Once they had you locked in that position, you felt like there was nothing in the world that could get to you. Then they would be like, "Go to sleep, baby." And all of a sudden, you would feel this peace come over you and your whole body would relax. 5 minutes later, you would be in the deepest sleep you had ever been in. Y'all ever experienced that? Oh my God, I miss that so much. Listen, that's how so and so had that baby. She had that child tucked in the safety zone, and they were 3 seconds away from being in the deepest sleep of their life. I mean, that baby was about to sleep through 12 winters. They were going to wake up and be 16 years old. Do you hear me? So the mother turns around. She sees the baby about to fade off to La La Land. And she's like, no, please don't do that. Please don't put them to sleep. I really don't want them to go to sleep right now. So and so begins to plead her case with the mother and tries to explain why she feels like this is the best action to take right now. She's just trying to help. That's all she's trying to do. But the mother is adamant about the fact that this is not what she wants for her child at this time. So they start going back and forth about whether or not this child should be put to sleep. Somewhere in the midst of the back and forth, so and so makes a comment that calls the mother's parenting skills into question. As you can imagine, the conversation went left from there. Now, the whole time I'm observing this exchange, I'm thinking to myself, this has got to be the most unnecessary disagreement I've ever witnessed in my life. Like everything inside of me wanted to turn to so and so and scream, "Put her baby down." The moment she acknowledged that your help was not needed, you should have put her baby down. Why are you going so hard to win a battle that's not even yours to fight? Put her baby down. Please release yourself from this conflict. At this point, I think the baby had just crawled down and went to the car. Like, I can't confirm it, but I think I recall the baby packing that stuff up and being like, you know what? I'm going to leave y'all in here trying to figure out whether or not I should be asleep. I'll be in the car when you figure it out. I feel real confident that that's what I saw happen. Like, the entire situation just made me think, why do we do that? Why do we insert ourselves into other people's business? Why do we feel the need to intervene and correct a situation that doesn't even impact us? More importantly, why do we feel like we have a right to do that? I really had to ask myself, have I ever done that? And the answer came back, absolutely. Absolutely. Unfortunately, more than once. I have been guilty of figuratively picking up someone else's child and making decisions for that child without the solicitation or consideration of the parent. I know y'all not going to believe this, but I have been so and so. Now, listen, in the natural sense, you don't have to worry about me picking up your child. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I have no desire to hold other people's kids. I have teenage nieces and nephews who I can't recall holding in my arms as kids. Like, I love on them, I hug them, but I was never the one they gave the baby to when they were small. Now, I would sit beside the person that was holding the baby and interact with them like that, but I think there was always this awkwardness and fear that I had about holding someone else's child. Like, I didn't want to be the one that dropped them. So I just avoided the act altogether. But your figurative baby, those things that are precious and exclusive to you, those things that you hold dear, oh yeah. Yeah, listen, I have been guilty of picking them up, taking them on walks, showing them to the neighbors, putting them to sleep. I have absolutely meddled in other people's business. Now, when I think through the instances where I was guilty of minding someone else's business, I realized I had convinced myself that a few things were true in that moment. I had convinced myself that I had good intentions. I meant well. I really wasn't trying to create chaos for the person. I just felt like they needed my help, and they just didn't know they needed my help. So my intent was to let them know that not only was I available to help guide their life, but I had time to do it. I feel like this is the way so and so felt. You know, they had good intentions, they just wanted to help. The other thing I had convinced myself of was that I knew better than that person. Not that I was better than them, but that I had some insight and some information or some experience that they had not been given access to yet. And because they had not received access to the information, that is why they were not making the decision that I wanted them to make. Or I believe, based on their history of decision making, that whatever decision they made was going to be a bad one. Like, I was like, listen, this person is 0400. They have lost every battle. And if someone doesn't step in soon, they are going to meet their demise. So my rescuer complex kicked in, and I was like, dun 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 dun! Here I come to save the day. I got my cape on. I'm ready to save the world from all its troubles. Girl, bye. Listen, here's the problem with the assumptions that I made. I don't have the capability, capacity, or clearance to attempt to fix anyone's life but my own, and I even need help with that. Our need to control or dictate the outcome of other people's situation is usually a reflection of our own misguided focus, need for validation, or lack of respect for personal boundaries. In other words, we don't have time to pick up someone else's baby because ours is clearly being neglected. Now, it's instinctive to want to get involved in the lives of our loved ones, and there are valid instances as to when we should do just that. For example, if the person is in danger or poses a threat to themselves or others, then it absolutely makes sense to intervene. Get all the way up in their business. Do whatever you have to do. Also, if that person is under your direct care, whether it's your underage child, your elderly parent, or someone else you have taken in to care for, then you have a right to insert yourself into their business because you are responsible for what happens to them. But I'm not even talking about those instances. I'm talking about those times when we take on the role of correction officer in the lives of people we're not even responsible for. You at work trying to tell your coworkers how to manage their day, and they don't even report to you. You at your neighbor's house trying to tell them how to park their cars in their yard. You down at the gas station directing traffic, trying to tell people what pump to use. Put their baby down and mind your business. Unnecessary conflict. We've all been guilty of it. Some of us more than others. But there are a few things that I learned that has helped me to move away from my tendency to engage in other people's affairs. The first thing was I had to accept the fact that my way is not the only way. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. I got the test scores back, and the results confirmed that I do not know everything. Spoiler alert, neither do you. Okay? What makes perfect sense to me may be completely irrelevant to the other person. Like, I'm sure the mother of that child knew something that so and so didn't know. I want to believe she knew that if her child went to sleep in that moment, that it would be that much harder to get them to go to sleep when they got home. Maybe she wanted to give them a bath before they went to sleep. Maybe she wanted to read to them or even feed them before they went down for the night. Whatever her reasoning was, it was logical for her and the way they lived. We think because we are familiar with some people that we know them well enough to make decisions on their behalf. To be familiar with someone means you have knowledgeable information about who they are. You have even had some experiences with them, but you have not been privy to the intimate details of their life. To really know somebody means you have a deep understanding of how they think, how they move, why they move the way they do. And even then, sometimes there are so many other layers to them that you haven't even scratched the surface on who they are. So you still don't know them like you think you do. I feel like I know my siblings very well. I have 5 of them. Earlier this year, I had to stay at one of my sister's house for a couple weeks to watch her kids while her and my brother-in-law were out of town. Now, I've visited their house a million times. I've even spent the night on weekdays and weekends. So I had witnessed them do life enough to where I could have made some assumptions about how to manage their family, right? But the truth is, I would have never survived those weeks they were gone if they had not talked me through how they actually manage their home. When do the kids go to bed? What is their nightly routine? What time do they have to be at school? Who do I reach out to if I'm running late to pick them up? When do they pick up your trash? When is the lawn guy expected to come? Are you expecting any packages this week? How do I reset the Wi-Fi if it goes out? Like, I had a million questions for someone I know very well. If I had done things my way, we would have been completely miserable while they were gone. Them kids probably would have just walked to the airport and been like, you know what? We're just going to sit right here at the gate and wait for our parents to get off the plane because you don't know what you're doing. Okay. And we are not about to be subjected to your foolishness. Now, I'm not only familiar with my sister, but I know her for real. And I'm still not equipped to run her life. If I tried to force my ways on her, she would not only reject my suggestions, but eventually she would withdraw from me altogether. Now, that doesn't stop me from occasionally offering her unsolicited advice, but my respect for her does cause me to fall back if she decides my advice is not needed. I had to accept, and I'm still coming to grips with the fact that my way is not the only way. Then I had to learn when I try to force people into doing things my way, I actually interrupt their growth process. Like I've said it before, I'm a fixer, I'm a rescuer, I'm a correction officer. I wear many hats, I play many roles, and many of those roles I was never hired to play. It was pro bono work. I was doing it all for free, all in the spirit of being helpful. But to my dismay, I realized that in my attempt to be helpful, I was often doing more damage than good. I used to manage a small team of people at work, and one of the things I would always drill into my team was whatever we do, we're going to do it with excellence. We will not produce subpar work out of this shop. Whatever assignment you're given, make sure you give it 100%. So I had this one teammate that whenever she sent me her work to review for feedback, I would always correct it, never fail. Anytime she sent me something, I would always find errors or something about it that just didn't work for me. So I would edit it, send it back, and then she would just send it off. So I go out of the office on vacation and I assign her some work to complete and send off while I'm gone. I get back from vacation and I'm asking her about the assignments and how it went. And she's like, I didn't finish it. I was waiting for you to get back so you could check it and correct it. I was like, are you serious? She was like, yeah. I mean, she said it so nonchalantly, like I shouldn't have been shocked by the fact that she didn't do her work while I was gone. And she was right. I didn't have a right to be shocked. I created that monster. I thought by correcting her work, I was helping her. I wanted her work to be excellent according to my standards. So because her work didn't meet my specific standards, I inserted myself into her business and took control of her work. I thought I was being a good leader. I was like, surely she is seeing these changes that I am making and she is learning from this. She wasn't learning nothing. I'm sure she was like, why do I need to learn it when I can just let you do it? Instead of helping her, I was enabling her, or better yet, disabling her. I handicapped her because I interrupted her ability to develop and use her independent thinking and problem solving skills, which then caused her to lack the confidence, experience, and desire to do her job effectively. To make matters worse, I then normalized the situation. Instead of just giving feedback and sharing wisdom that would have equipped her to produce higher quality work, my actions led her to believe that it was appropriate to do just enough because I would always be there to take over, correct her errors, and she would still get to reap the benefits. Because let's be clear, she was still getting paid. It didn't matter that I was doing the bulk of her work, wearing myself out, wasting time on her assignments when I had my own to finish, nurturing her baby while mine was in the corner dying. She was cool with it. She was completely comfortable with letting me do what I was doing. Why wouldn't she be? She was getting paid, not growing, and it was all my fault. I see this all the time with parents. I get it. You want your kids to have opportunities you never had. You set a standard for what you believe their life could be. So when you see them disregarding the sacrifices you made and making poor decisions for their life, you turn into me and so and so. You like, give me that baby. I'll take it. I'll nurture it. I'll put it to sleep. You fall back. I got this. And they're like, cool. Take it. Thank you. I'll just be over here enjoying the benefits of your hard work. And then you have the audacity to be shocked and frustrated and resentful? Why? We created these monsters. We interrupt their growth process and keep them from encountering the challenges and experiences that were designed to build their character and resilience. Then we get bothered because we empowered them to adopt a lifestyle of codependency. Now you wearing yourself out, trying to get them to take accountability for their own life because you know you can't save them forever. But they don't want to do it. Why would they? We've been doing it for them. Listen, we should have put those babies down. That's another reason why I had to work on minding my own business, because every time I didn't, I was sacrificing my peace. Peace is too precious of a commodity to just give away. Because here's the other part of meddling that we don't talk about. The moment I insert myself into your affairs, I give you the keys to insert yourself into mine. That same light that I'm trying to use to highlight your imperfections bounces off of you and reflects back on me. Now I'm in the spotlight, completely exposed. When people feel criticized or attacked or challenged, they go into fight or flight mode. Either they will ignore your attempts to get in their business or they'll start digging into yours. The worst thing you can hear when you know you've been meddling in someone else's business is for them to say, I know you ain't talking. Uh-oh. I have never heard a conversation start with the words, I know you ain't talking, and it go well. You already know what that means. They are locked in and ready to unload whatever information they think they know about you. Now you bracing yourself for whatever it is they're about to say. You don't even know whether or not you should be nervous or not. Your mind is racing, trying to figure out who they know that may have told them something about you. Every skeleton in your closet starts dancing before your eyes. Whatever it is they're about to say doesn't even have to be true, but it still throws you into automatic panic mode. Because let's be clear, we all have stuff. We are all works in progress. But you went and poked the bear. And now the tables have turned and your baby is not only being picked up, but she is being abducted. And you have to be careful because some people thrive off of that kind of drama. We call them pot stirrers, right? People who find amusement in creating trouble and drama and chaos. They love it. Nothing brings them more joy than to see other people in agony. You don't want to encounter that kind of person, and you definitely don't want to be that kind of person. Seek peace with all men. There's a hymn called What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And some of the most powerful lines in that song are the ones that say, oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. All because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. That's not just referencing the things that are happening in your life. It's that other person's life is that concerning to you and you feel that much of a pull to be involved. Pray about it. Take it to God in prayer so you can get direction on how to help so that it doesn't stunt their growth and cause you to forfeit your peace. Here's my final question to you. If you're busy holding somebody else's baby, then who is holding yours? We have our own lives to nurture. What God has birthed in each of us requires our undivided attention. In order for those things to grow and mature, we have to feed them, we have to spend time with them, we have to develop them, we have to prioritize our own growth. When you find yourself in a place where you're more interested in what is happening in someone else's life than what's happening in your own, it's time to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, why am I so preoccupied by what's going on with them? Why do I care so much? More importantly, what areas of my life are being neglected because I'm investing so much energy into someone else? If you get busy answering those questions, you won't have time to worry about what other people are doing. If you really believe there is someone who could use your help, and you want to be a blessing to them, help them fulfill their life's purpose, and be engaged as a support partner in their journey, you have to be gentle in your approach. Despite how some may act, people are fragile, just like babies. If you mishandle them, you can cause deformities. So you have to handle them with care. You have to go beyond just being familiar and get to know them so you can recognize when they're really crying out for help and whether or not you're the right person to respond. Not every cry means that they're in trouble. Sometimes they cry just as a sign to let you know they are awake. So what may look like a person in crisis could just be the sign of a person who's letting you know that they're still here, still pushing, still fighting, and doing everything they can to develop their baby into a healthy, thriving adult. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with a friend. Post about it on social media, or feel free to leave a rating and review. And of course, follow or subscribe to the Thrive with Joy podcast on your favorite streaming platform, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts, to make sure you're notified when new episodes are available. All new episodes are released on Mondays. Until next time, family, I pray that God bless you to live in peace and thrive with joy.